Well, after professional baseball player, after that faded, there's always like, I knew early that I had a brain that generated ideas that I didn't know what to do with. And so that's what a lot of the journey was, I'm constantly thinking and trying to figure out what am I supposed to do with these things, like I'll see something, I'll have an observation, I'll have a thought about it, and I'll need to share this. And so I was, mixed that with also kind of being introverted. So it was like kind of a weird combo. And so I tried a bunch of different things. I started off I'm gonna be a sports journalist because I like sports and I like writing. So I'll just write about sports and that'll be a way. And then I can go into sports broadcasting and media and stuff like that. And then realizing that I don't want to just talk and think about sports my whole life. Like I want to do more. I want to have an opinion beyond just sports. And then so I was doing church ministry. I was a youth pastor and a kids pastor. And I was like, well, maybe this is it. I can teach the Bible and I can share the kind of thoughts in the world and through, this Christian point of view and, preach and teach and share and be a speaker and do all these kind of things. And that was fine for a reason, but still even feeling like within a box within that. Like this isn't, I want a grander scope than this. Not because I need that, like personally, I don't need the attention, but because I wanted to think and talk and write about things beyond just ministry stuff and Christian life stuff. And so I was blogging for a while. I was doing like, well, maybe this is it. And then stand-up was exactly it. It was, you can talk about anything. There's no topics that are you reserved to. This doesn't have to be formatted into a 50-minute sermon, or 20 minutes with the youth. It doesn't have to be formatted into this. You can take your stream of thought and your point of view about the world and say whatever you want under the one qualification that it ends up being funny. And so really just kind of spent, years 18 through 27 looking for that. And it really found like I found it in stand-up comedy. Though I still have a day job. Firmly rooted in middle management at a rec center. That's not going anywhere, which is mostly just telling teens not to steal each other's phones and dealing with seniors who are upset with pool temperatures. So still day job. Comedy is one of those things that like you really have to want to do it. It's like everybody's like number one fear. And so you're like a little off to even want to do it in the first place, like just the arrogance and the narcissism to stand in front of a group and be like, you will listen to me speak. And I had that. I didn't act on it for a long time, but like I grew up just in love with stand-up comedy, watching specials, and just really drawn to it as this like super like raw art form that somebody would go up with. No band or no props or no music or anything like that. No medium other than them just talking. And so I was always drawn to it, always wanted to do it, and just did an open mic one night in downtown San Diego at a comedy club called Madhouse Comedy Club, and signed up 2 weeks in advance and like didn't eat for 2 weeks. Just pure terror and nervous what in the world's gonna happen. And I brought a friend, so I had someone just to nervously ramble to, and went to the bathroom like 15 times before my set, and then went up and just did 3 minutes, and it just kind of never stopped after that. It went as I thought it would go. Not exactly, and they didn't laugh nearly as much. There were like 6 people at an open mic. You're doing 3 minutes, and I went up and I did my 3 minutes, and I got maybe 2 laughs, and kind of caught, oh no, this is what I'm looking for. I want to be able to say something that has a point of view and is somewhat interesting, but also makes people laugh. So I did that, and yeah, just never really stopped. Find out how to get on shows and do more open mics and just do this as many times as I can do, over and over and over and over. And it was like falling into the right slot. It was like finding like, oh, this is what I was made for, because you try just different things, and I think some people find it earlier, and for me it was just kind of meandering for a few different things and saying, is this the thing that I was doing, or is this what I'm supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with this brain that I have that generates stuff the way that it does? And then stand-up comedy was just like a revelation. Oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. The Average stuff. Average was like, it was really like the 3rd joke I ever wrote. It was like just a bit that I kind of embraced of just being amongst comedians and really just people in general, and realizing over and over and over, like everybody is trying to stand out and be unique and have this thing that's wonderful and, spectacular about them. But not feeling any of that for myself. Just looking at myself in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm not fat, but I'm not skinny. I'm not tall, but no one would call me short either. I really just didn't physically, and being like on almost all my opinions, just falling in this middle realm of mediocrity. And just feeling like, no, I'm average in almost every way. Maybe the occasional extreme, but then I'll have the other extreme to just balance me right back out in the middle to the average. And as I started talking about that, I was just thinking, well, what are the average things? Well, the Corolla's average, and that's me. There's more of me than you realize. You just don't see me. And the more that I told the joke, the more of a relief it is for people, because I think everybody is just wanting to embrace that. And when a guy who's doing something very non-average, which is stand-up comedy, goes on stage and just says, hey, I'm kind of middle of the road, I'm an average guy, it's like a relief for everybody. They go, well, if he's saying that, I can just embrace that. And so even though I think it's a funny joke, but even more so it resonates with people. It makes them feel okay with who they are, because if you're the person in the group and who's up there speaking and you say, I'm kind of like I'm kind of like a Sprite, like I'm nobody's favorite, but nobody hates me. And they go, oh, that's okay. I can be that way too. So that's where that came from. Yeah, they couldn't be less impressed by it. They don't, kids don't have an appreciation for stand-up comedy. That's for sure. So what they like about it is every once in a while they get to come stay in a hotel. That's their only thought about it. And then once I was on PBS, those are the two things. Dad's on TV sometimes on PBS, and every once in a while he takes us to a hotel. Those are their two whole thoughts about it. Personally, a lot of it personally is just, doing that, walking that balance of I don't, this is artistically fulfilling, and this is what I feel like I was meant to do and what I want to do, and walking that balance of also understanding but I don't just live for myself. When I took a wife, this is I'm an American settler. I'll take on a wife. When I married my wife and we had kids, that's a sacrifice, right? That's an understanding that I'm not going to just narcissistically pursue my dreams here and just sell them out. So there's a tension that comes from there, but I do like them a lot more than comedy, so I don't mind saying no to comedy to go spend time with them. But it's great, yeah. No, overall I love it, and they give me a good amount of material. If anything, it's therapy. Okay, this nonsense happens in your home, and then you can go work that out somewhere. A lot of it, so as a Christian, I find that a lot of comedians, whether they're Christians or non-Christians, a lot of time they will, there's the lines that are drawn. Well, I'm this type of comedian, or I'm this type of comedian. I'm a church comedian, I'm a club comedian. They draw these different lines, and I've just, and not every comedian, there's a lot of us that don't. I've never had any interest in that whatsoever, because I've always just wanted to make people laugh, and I wanted to share my point of view, and I wanted to go and bless people with laughter, because it's great, it's fantastic. It brightens people's days, it makes them think. It's a beautiful thing, and it's great to be a part of. And I think one thing that is unique is, what isn't necessarily unique is just a Christian doing shows in churches. That's pretty common. That makes sense. That's, for lack of a better word, the team that you're on. And it's great. Doing church and comedy, or comedy in churches is great, because there are people who are uncomfortable going to comedy clubs or bars or wherever the shows are. And it can be an all-age thing, and that's fantastic. I love having kids. I don't love having kids, but sometimes it's good having kids in the show, because you want more kids to grow up and be stand-up comedians and be, see oh no, I want to do that as well. I mean, hopefully they don't want to do it, because it's a terrible thing. But what you don't see as much is Christian comedians who do shows in clubs and bars and all these other places, and that's fine. If your conviction is such that you don't want to do that, that's fine. I would never put pressure on that. But the reason that I want to do it as a Christian is I want to be everywhere as a Christian. I want to be in the places that Christians aren't a lot, which are comedy clubs. They're not in the crowds a lot, and they're not in the green rooms a lot. And when I look at the life of what Jesus lived, I see a lot of that. I see him being in places that other religious folks weren't a lot, being at weddings and parties and with people that he got judged a lot for spending his time with. And he had that, Jesus had that title, friend of sinners. And like, it's kind of what you want. I don't call him that, hey, sinners, I'm your friend. But the point of that is that Jesus is with non-religious people all the time, and not just people that share his view. And that you can be there and you can be a genuine friend and getting to know them and spending time with them and laughing with them and blessing them and being blessed by them and, getting to stand out in that way.